Yes, Richard Wagner, Bradley Hilton, and us are all on, and David Ledeck.
All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Oh,
Sure.
what time?
Everyone, no, it is. It's
31.
31. Boss shows everyone present but John Murray.
Coming through the door.
And there's John Murray. And now we have everyone.
Yay.
Greg. So John. James. I get.
Hi, John.
Yeah. The great bear video that Eric did. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, that was one of our spicy cylinders. He's had a taste of it before, so he just sniffed it and he went on. He's like, nothing.
I had a baby moose born in my yard. Last week sometime.
Oh, that's sweet, but then you have to be very careful.
Yes.
You can keep them in your yard as far as I'm concerned.
All right, we started the meeting, so let's go.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Scheduled citizen participation. Anyone in the audience talk about something not on the agenda? All right, we'll move on to conflicts of interest. Does anybody have a conflict of interest with the one item of business we have tonight?
No, here.
No contact.
No. Right, hearing none, we'll move on to our one item of business, public hearing. For consideration to recommend a special use permit to allow commercial use on property located at 625 Grand Avenue.
There you go. So you can look. Sorry, this double screen thing, I don't know which side the mouse is coming off of, so I can't have my mouse back. Sorry. There we go. All right, so let's see here. You have seen this item before, but it has moved. So, this is a public hearing. So have you opened the public hearing and done all of the stuff with the?
We'll open the public hearing.
Cool. So we received a special use permit application from True Penny Pit Stop to operate a food truck occupied on the other side gear and coffee shop lot. So it's a privately owned business with on private land. The True Penny Pit Stop has been in the town of Grand Lake as a food truck for the last 2 summers without any complaints received by the town. No one has come to us to tell us that it is bad. The applicant is requesting to renew the 2024 for the 24 season. She had to move off of her spot because of development occurring in the future on her spot. So her the land she was renting has been purchased by someone else, and so they did not renew her lease, so they could start developing. That has not been sent to me. I have not reviewed anything. There's nothing to be seen about that particular thing. So we're not going to stay on this, just in case anybody wanted to talk about that. So, the parcel is zoned commercial that she wants to, put her business on. And according to Municipal Code 12-218A2, if there are two businesses run at one location and one of those businesses is a non-fixed temporary structure, they are required to get a special use permit. That is, that's why she's here. And following the code 12-231, all of the items that are required for a special use permit application have been submitted. That would be the application's main form, her cover letter detailing her business operations, a narrative description of the nature of the business, which is a food truck that specializes in, she will tell you in a moment, I don't want to get it completely wrong. I don't want to minimize what she does. So a copy of the Grand Lakes sales tax license, a letter from the owner stating a lease agreement is in place, and a letter from neighboring business in support. She does have that. Images of the proposed site and plan where she's setting everything up. And I think she has, but I will double check with the clerk or with the applicant if she has a current town business license. Otherwise, she will renew that. We sent out 14 certified letters to the property owners within 200 feet, and 9 were received when I wrote this memo last week. The notice was posted in Middle Park Times, which is sky high on Wednesdays now, with one positive comment, which is Exhibit 2. And this afternoon, I did receive one opposing comment, which I will bring up so we can read both of them. The municipal code, let's see, what else does it require us to do? The planning commission process for this is that you review the application during this public hearing and receive testimony and comments from interested citizens, businesses, and adjoining property owners prior to making a recommendation to the board, and the board will make their decision on the 10th. For this, you have to talk about the following 4 factors. You have to describe these. You have to say why it does fit within these 4 things. So the relationship of the proposed special use to the economic development objectives of the town and the anticipated impact of the special use permit on existing businesses. Effect on the traffic, with particular reference to congestion, automotive and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow and control, access, maneuverability, and snow removal if applicable from the streets and parking areas. The effect upon the character of the area in which the proposed special use is to be located, including the scale and bulk of the proposed special use in relation to surrounding uses and neighborhood. And such factors that you deem applicable, such as the length that she's going to have it. We do have that listed in here. And the specific business, the landowners, and other interested parties to be notified. Let's see. So that is on page 6 if you need to reference those 4 things, but you need to discuss all 4 of those items for this to be a good hearing. So one thing I wanted to read are the 2 letters. So I'm going to jump down to the 2 letters. Actually, I will tell you, the proposed hours are Thursday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. They will be extended on holidays and during events. She's intending on as soon as she can possibly get a special use permit until September or through September. She will be sharing the utilities from other side. The outdoor seating and bathroom facilities will also be shared with other side gear store. Utility sites are located on the map that's in the packet. The hoses and cords will be fed under the decking to avoid trip hazards. This is a very similar setup to what she had at the previous location. It's an 8 by 12 foot trailer. There's images of the trailer in the packet, and it's located in the southwest corner next to the fencing of the other side building, and it will not be blocking the view of the sign of the neighbor for the hot tub vacancy at Bighorn Lodge. The signage is only going to be on the trailer, so there's not additional sandwich boards or signage on the site. and there is street parking in front for the customers. Let's see what else. And that other side gear store is 625 grand, in case you were unfamiliar. It's kind of sandwiched between Dairy King and the Bighorn Hotel, I believe, Bighorn Lodge. I believe those are the two. So on page 10 is the setup, how everything is set up. And the image is on page 11 of the actual, what the signage would look like on the structure. Neighbor at 612 Park Avenue called and then said that he didn't have any issue. He wanted to know all about it. So he called and spoke with me for a moment. I told him what it was. And he suggested if he wanted to, he can write a letter. So he did. And he says, as owner of property, nearby property, I wanted to voice my support for a special use permit to allow a food truck location and operation in town per May 3rd letter. I love to see Grand Lake expanding its options and businesses. And the other remark is a little longer that I received today. I am writing in response to the letter sent out to the property owners in regards to the True Penny special use permit. I have had a property in Grand Lake for about 20 years and visited on a weekly basis with my family and fall in love with the Western feel, local residents, and image of Grand Lake. I would not be in favor of the food truck trailer near my property or anywhere else in Grand Lake. It simply does not fit with the overall image of Grand Lake, which I have and others have fallen in love with. Moreover, I don't believe it is fair to the businesses in the area that have significant investments in their properties to have competition from a low investment and detrimental image business. I will be investing an estimated several $100,000 over the next year or so, improving my property to enhance and conform to the Grand Lake image on the south end of town. For the reasons mentioned above, it would be unfair and unfortunate to allow a food truck trailer to conduct business in the town of Grand Lake. I appreciate your consideration in the review of special use permit. I hope that we can all do what's best for the community and its image. Respectfully, Anthony Zern at 620 Grand Avenue, which I believe is directly across the street in the old Ranger station that was going to be a brew pub that has the fencing around it next to the fly shop. So as far as the comments, there's 1 for, 1 against. Better neighbors, and then 2 summers of no complaints. The pictures, if you have any questions about the pictures, I will switch over to get my mouse up there. There you go. The application. You'll see, let me make this so you can see it. So this is the parking, this is Grand Avenue down below, and then her food truck would be here. And there's a front gate that they will have here for the entrance and for people to walk in. And there's picnic tables and such set up in this area for people to eat. And let's see, the water electric hookups go underneath here between these 2 black things that you can see from probably where you're sitting. And then sewer clean out disposal is on this side. And then towed, I guess they tow it in this way from the front, and the front entrance opens for easy removal. It will stay there through September, though. It's not planning on moving. So, I think that's everything. You guys need to discuss the 4 items that were on page 6, I believe, and that's all staff has.
Was there a letter from Bighorn?
No,
Didn't say anything plus or minus?
no, Bighorn didn't.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 letters I got. 612. Well, where is 612? Sorry. Look. Let me Google 612 really quick, because I thought, oh, that's Park Avenue anyway. It's behind. It's not on Grand. So no.
But yeah, Emma, have anything you wanted to say?
Hello again, everyone.
Can you state your name and your
Um,
address?
Yeah, Blake Barbie, and my address is, as of last summer, 517 Shadow Mountain Drive. And I live in town. Yeah. Well, it'd be really nice to have a third summer. I think it's been going really well. I mean, I guess as Kim said, no one's had any sort of issue in regards to how I've been running the little business, and it definitely on some level, I think, adds in that there's not, something like what I'm doing currently in town. So I actually sort of find that I don't really directly conflict with anything else that's currently in town. As a kind of more permanent brick and mortar location. And yeah, when I was looking for another spot, I inquired around town, and it was actually a lot harder than I was anticipating to find a new home. But I had met Zach at Other Side before, and I mentioned it to him, and he was like, yeah, perfect, great, awesome, let's do it. And he had the perfect like pad there as well for me to pull in, and all the hookups available, and I think it'll kind of, I mean, it's certainly gonna help, he's got a new business there as well. And it can be a little bit of a difficult location because it's not right on the boardwalk, and it's not necessarily where people are walking, so he would like to also try to bring more people that way too. And I think as more and more things are kind of coming in at that end of town, I think it can be helpful to kind of activate and get some more going on down there, so it's not all kind of up north. Or maybe not north, whatever that is, east. But,
West.
or what? Yeah, that's east, that's where the sun comes up. Yeah, so I'm not sure what else to say. Yeah, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But yeah, it's I make smoothies mostly. All my ingredients are organic, and I do acai bowls and other like nourishing kind of treats. And I make granola and stuff too. Yeah, it's a simple little business, but I think it's a meaningful one.
So, any questions for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Yeah, no, I do know. Sorry, we're coming through too loud. So in the very brief description of what you're doing, it talks about the Otherwise Coffee Shop. Is that what the used gear place is gonna become, or? Okay.
Yeah, it's used gear and coffee. So they have used gear in there, and then they just have like a little espresso machine where they can make, it's very minimal, but they just have like a one group head espresso machine, and
Okay.
yeah, and they make good coffee.
And then for utilities, I think it says utility hookup, so you get power from there.
Mhm.
And you get water from there. What about sewer water going out or drain water going out?
Yeah, so that's on that side of the building, there's a clean out. So I'm gonna run a hose sort of probably under the decking around the back. And yeah, and just feed it around into the sewer clean out.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And you're sharing the restroom facilities with the coffee shop
I will, yeah.
and the
Probably.
parking is.
No, I said I will, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Sure. I think especially since Dairy King isn't open, there's even more parking available than would usually be there.
Well, that could change at any time.
It could,
As
for
open
sure.
and close, that will, I think, so.
Yeah, I don't think it operated last summer at all, did it?
No, but
I think the summer before they started,
Yeah.
and closed halfway through the year because they didn't have enough help. I don't know.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, the public hearing is open, so let's start with those in the audience. Is there anybody here to talk about something?
Hi, we're the stars. We just,
If you can come up to the line, just because it needs to be on the recording and.
goodness.
Say your name.
Why did I open my big mouth?
State your name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Barry Starr. We own the property at 324 Broadway. So we're catty corner to Dairy King, right behind the little market courtyard. So we have no problem. We didn't respond other than that. And we're friends with Ben and his dad who own the Dairy King. We haven't heard hide nor hear from them for a long time. We don't believe they're opening as far as we know, but we just came because we're kind of new to the city. We've never been to one of these things before. And we're fine with it, I guess would be the simple statement.
Thank you. And we do take public comment online. Correct, again?
We can if you would like. Is there anyone online that has a comment about this particular item?
Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Turn it over for commission discussion or decision.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Every Wednesday you can come, or Mondays at 4 p.m.
From the commission?
I think her business is a good business, you know, I was very close to it and people, I think, really appreciated. Number one, how she fixed up the Lilliput area, it really looked a lot better after she did him. And it is something different, you know, it's, no one else was doing just smoothies and, I liked her business and would like to see, her operate still. I know the new location isn't ideal, but we are trying to encourage people to come down to that end of town, and so maybe this is one of the little things that can get people to come down to that end of town.
Yeah, I agree. I think the site could use some cleaning up and you'll do it. So I like that part of it.
Yeah, I mean, there have been trailers parked in that specific spot over the years numerous times, and this is the first one that's gonna make money probably, so. Thank you for choosing this summer, sorry that the plant wasn't very easy for you. But happy you could rehome here in town limits with us, and I saw the trailer there, it seemed not to block the warning sign, as long as they don't have any opposition to that. I mean, realistically, someone could build a zero lot line building there 30 feet high and the sign is still not visible, so. Great products.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm glad you found the spot. Certainly glad that you find it. Still thinking very much.
As I recall, we operated over at the other place for, was it 2 years or 3 years now? 2 years, and that worked out fine over there.
It's great, yeah, it was almost overwhelming actually.
And the reason, what was the reason, I missed the reason why that was not available? Oh, right, yeah, that's right.
You're out.
Yeah.
I guess the one thing I think it'd be good for the commission to discuss is should we have this? You know, it's only good until, proposed good until September, but you have the option to do 3 years.
You do have the option to do. You do have the option to do 3 years. The permit's valid for 6 months in general, so it's valid through November 11th. She just said through September on her application. So it's up to the applicant and her,
But-
or you guys too.
We recommended a 3-year, the council approved it, then we would have to see it every year.
No, you wouldn't. And then if she moved locations, you would have to see it.
Well, since she has a proven track record, I think we should probably go for the 3-year and hope that she can operate another 2 years there.
If that's what you would like to offer, you are more than welcome.
I agree with you. I mean, she has a good track record, so why make this, her and staff go through the process. Other thoughts?
Yeah, we'll give it out.
I would just comment, I certainly have nothing against this particular, product that you're putting out or anything. It's just that the town in general, as one of the letters did mention, has been very, hesitant to allow food trucks in town. We've had a lot of people in different places that have wanted applications to do food trucks that we've turned down in the past. However, I do think that in our community, I think the community is changing. And I think that we are very, we have too many businesses, for example, the Dairy King and the other place at the end of Grand Avenue down here that I don't know whether that's gonna be open this year or not. It looks like they were putting out tables. But I think we're getting to the point where we need some additional businesses, some additional opportunities for our visitors to be able to come up and feed the kids and not spend $100, you know, for a lunch meal for people. So although I think I would probably be very much against it, having a food truck, in this particular instance, I think it's worked out well and she's had a great reputation. And so I would not be in favor of the year lease. I'd say, let's try it, see how it is. And we don't have any trouble communicating evidently, and she comes in and does things by rules. So at the end of the year, if it's not working out, then she may seek another location and she'll be back anyway. So I'd like to try this for the first year.
I would just say that there's food trucks and there's food trucks. She does not look like,
Yeah, that's,
you know, she does not look like a taco guy that rolls in the afternoon and stays 2 hours and goes out. It's a different deal.
Well, if you recall, a couple of years ago, we had a ice cream truck that was gonna be down at the snowmobile rental place, and I think he was open for maybe 3 days during the summer and never came back again. And so I think there are people that have good reputations, like our current applicant, people that don't have good reputations, but I think that's something that we need to watch. Especially, we need more businesses like this that can be open in the winter, but of course you can't, but we need to really work on that, because we're getting down to one restaurant. And that's something that I think is gonna hurt our communities.
Well, unfortunately, if there were customers, I think many of the stores and restaurants would be open in the winter. They're just, I'll give my sales as an example. In January, my sales are 1/10 of what they are in July. And that's tough to make it through the winter when you make all your money in 3 months and barely scrape by for 9 months. It's tough.
Well, I understand that. At one time, they said that the only places that were open year round were the saloons and real estate offices, which were open 7 days a week and so forth year round for a long time. And that's always been the situation in Grand Lake, and I don't see it really changing. I know Jim thinks we ought to.
Winters are getting shorter and shorter. That may change it for us.
Well, it could be, a lot of things have changed.
almost makes it worse. People want the high season, like good snow, and they don't want the shoulder season, so we're basically extending mud season, which.
Well, Aspen says they have now lost 1 week at both ends of the year, both ends of their season.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And may I ask, when you send the letter to the neighbors, do they get any portion of the packet, or you just kind of saying, hey, this is what's going on?
I believe this one said there is a food truck that's asking for a special use permit at this location. You're invited to the public hearing. Mhm. Or to ask me for more questions, I'll send you more details. And so people will sometimes email me and ask for more details, and I'll send them the application. I normally don't have time to write the packet up until the moment I send it to you guys. So,
Just a rebuttal with comment with regards to food trucks not being the case. As the commission has mentioned, this is not a typical food truck. It's a small 8x10 trailer. It's very tasteful. There's no generators hanging off the back. There's no smokestacks blowing up top. There's no graffiti on the side of the food. Very nice.
Yeah, that was my point exactly.
It's a mobile vending operation.
Yeah, exactly.
Short of a
Just
foundation.
for history, one that didn't work out, well, it worked out great for the first year. We had a Kentucky Fried Chicken mobile restaurant here down by the post office for 1 or 2 years, and they did a booming business. But they did, because of the product, compete with other businesses. And that was why I think they were kind of encouraged them.
All right. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion. If we want the 3-year, that will have 3-year amendment to the resolution.
The third amendment for 2 years, allow it for 2 years. Or which amendment?
So you're saying
Well, no.
approve it as is and then do an amendment?
No, I'm saying the planning commission resolution as is only allows it until November.
Right.
If the commission wants to do it up to 3 years or any time frame in between that, we have to approve, we have to make an amendment to that resolution. So we just have to tell that as when the motion is made.
Well, here's the only thought to that if we amend it to 3 years, if Judy says no, then it looks like you're saying no to the whole thing. Maybe don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah,
This
that's
is-
basically what it looks like.
Yeah, that's
but
what it
it's
looks
just
like.
Not the amendment that.
But if you don't, do it, you make the applicant staff.
Oh, I understand you.
Two more times.
I understand. Right, okay.
With regards to the applicant, I mean, I don't wanna force, 2 or 3 or 1 year deal. Looking forward, is this your ideal location? Would you like to be there for 2 years?
I mean,
Making up some.
Yeah,
Maybe come
sorry.
back up.
We're talking some timelines here, and if it's
Okay.
way more than you think you need.
She may not like that location for 3 years.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, at this point, it's hard to say. I really like the relationship that I have with the business there, and I think that it'll be like a nice, we'll have kind of a nice dynamic together and be somewhere that people wanna spend some time. And that's my feeling about it so far. But it's hard to say until I've actually done a summary there, really how I'm gonna move about or feel about that moving forward. But I would definitely be open to, I think I tried this last year, just because I mean, we didn't know what was gonna happen with that property that I was on. But I had, I think I maybe tried for the 3 years just so that I wouldn't have to continue to come back every year if it wasn't necessary. So I would appreciate if you guys would consider the 3 years, and then if I end up moving, I'll come back. It's kind of, but it would definitely save a bit of effort there if I do end up staying.
Thank you.
Question about that, if you do extend it to 3 years, will the operating just be summer operating only? Okay, and that's whenever snow melts until snow flies, pretty much. We don't know when that is exactly, right? Okay, just wanted to make that clear with however you have to formulate that resolution.
Tried smoothies in winter one time.
I bet it was cold.
You put your smoothie in hot cocoa.
I was told I need to do soups maybe or something, but
Uh.
the trailer itself is so cold, I don't know what's inside.
All right, entertain a motion.
So I'm not sure how we ended up. Are we going with 1 year or going with 3? Are you saying you'd be happy with?
I would appreciate if you guys would,
You should appreciate either.
consider.
Especially one.
I would like to see three, I know Heather mentioned three, so I guess other commissioners before a motion's made, you might as well just say if you're for or not, I know Judy's not, so.
No, but I think that gives her, I think 1 year gives her a chance to look at this site. And maybe in the meantime, look at something that might be even more appealing to you because of traffic and so forth, so I like to give her the opportunity to look around too.
But we're not locking them in. If she decides.
No,
something's the
I-
same.
I-
They just need to come do the 2-week process of getting her.
Okay, so I would make a motion to adopt planning commission resolution 07-2024 with the amendment. That it be allowed to operate 3 seasons. The same as the first season, the same dates as the first season.
Got that?
I second.
All right, we got a motion and a second, any further discussion? If not, those in favor?
I.
Those opposed?
I,
Right, motion passes 5-1. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with the board.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you for again coming back. Being no other items, business, discussion. Is there anything else the commission would like to discuss?
Well, I would like to look at maybe amending our code. We had a request for a variance. Staff felt that a plan for a home to be built didn't fit the character of our town. We heard it, we passed it on to the board, and the board struggled with it as well. So I think to make things clearer before someone hires a architect to design a home, if we could make things in the code clearer about what we feel is the character of the town, that would save a lot of people a lot of trouble, especially the applicants.
do you think that our, planning and particularly emphasizing the idea of a western town and maybe not the, tin buckets that they're building in a lot of places, you don't think that's adequate to say, this is the character of our town, look around, you can tell.
Well, we
What we like and don't like.
yeah, we granted some exceptions that they're now using as examples
That's
of.
what I was gonna say, yeah.
Mhm.
They pulled examples.
They pulled several, you know, we talked about the theater housing and we. You know, there were a lot of concerns about the shed roofs and the architect said, well, you know, there's no way to make a gabled roof because it would only be 60 feet on each side. And that came up and there was a photo of that saying, well, you granted this one. So I think that, and I actually like modern very much. I just don't think it fits in Grand Lake. And so I think maybe we need to clarify what we feel is the character in the single shed roof that takes up, you know, more than half of the roof line is probably not something we want if we want a traditional western town where most houses have a gable roof or a hip roof.
Agreed. Yeah, we almost need to get to that point where we just say no shed roofs or,
No shed roofs.
Or include a gable roof with it.
It has to be, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
some sort of a gable.
Front elevation,
Shed,
no.
sheds are kind of like the secondary.
Mhm.
What did the trustees do?
I think
We
they,
denied it and they're coming back with another design basically, correct?
You denied it, but approved it with a different, like adding stuff on the front because there was no character.
Correct, so they're coming.
There
back.
was no character on the front. They're not coming to you with it, though. They're coming to staff.
Yeah,
But it's
Yeah.
still a shed.
Well, the house is the same. They've added stuff to the front to give it more character because the board decided that the character of the front was what was lacking. Because it's just a square
he
box.
focused on the massing of the. modern
front.
type building rather than looking at the roofs. Something, you know, the garage with a single shed roof, just the garage door. And then giant space above, so there's an added another shed roof. You know, eve kind of coming off with the log posts. I mean, didn't have any wainscot on the front, it was just the siding material all the way down, which in my mind is silly. So the wainscot got extended all the way around the front.
Yeah, there was just not a lot of articulation.
Correct, and then one more shed type thing to match what's over the garage on the other right side of the front elevation of the building.
So will it look western or just more interesting? But why is that?
Yeah, I mean, and I asked him, what, you know, does this get to where we started with, and there's a nod, you know, their property is a little unique with the trees in the front too, that are pre-existing, and right here. The garage sticks out over 30 feet from the front door, which is also sunk in. I wish they could come in with plans like Jim had for his development, where you get a 3D, you get the depth and stuff like that. So it's kind of hard to see, but there are additional features. This isn't the final one, but it was a tough meeting. I'm not gonna lie, I mean, it's the same thing we did here. We did not figure anything out.
So it sounds like then what Heather's saying is needed. in this.
I think we need to
For
be
direction.
specific, so people don't go this far in the process before they find out that, you know, we feel it doesn't fit the character. I think we need to think on this and be very specific about these types of things, like just because I like modern doesn't mean I want it in Grand Lake. So I see a modern building, I love it, well, where is it gonna be? It's really
Right.
is the issue.
Yeah,
So Kim, that comes back to you or it comes back to the planning commission?
This comes back to me.
well, I think the planning commission needs to weigh in and give direction, but I mean, I really think we need an overhaul of the whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we need stricter guidelines if we're gonna try to keep the character that we have now, like that, you're gonna start, people are gonna push that envelope as much as they can. If we don't have pretty strict and clear guidelines, then it's gonna be hard to.
So how do we do that? That's obviously not something we have the skill set to do.
No, you're looking at hiring an outside consultant to come in and analyze it and come up with a static.
And maybe make very specific comments about what attributes of the building make it Western and make it authentic. Because I'm not an architect, so I'm just like, well, you know, to me, it looks like it fits in Grand Lake or it doesn't.
Right, and then, yeah,
And,
you can look at it and say, yes, it fits in or it doesn't, but
Mhm.
you need to, somebody needs
Yeah,
to
it's,
put that in the paper.
it's too subjective now for both parties, both for us
Right.
and for the poor guy who's deciding.
right,
You
yeah, so I just think we need to make that more specific. You know, we get a lot of comments of people saying, well, you know, the code says this, and anywhere that it's ambiguous, I think we need to put a little bit of guidance in there. Maybe we don't have to rewrite it all, just put some for instances maybe.
Right, yeah, I agree, and some examples are very helpful, and then. If you put enough statements in there, it does give then staff direction, or even some. Guidance and a little bit of leeway to say, no, I'm sorry, this doesn't fit that guideline, you do need to. Figure out how to meet that intent.
Well, and I'd also like it to be clear enough that people don't think Kim is just being a meanie when she says, now you have to go ask for variance. If it's very specific, then, you know, less falls on her and it comes back to the code.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the gable roofs are a big part of it. I think articulation is a big part. And, yeah.
Some details, yeah, the articulation and details, they were talking, yeah, massing, for sure, that the building had no massing. Like it was just two big things, yeah. I think even if they made it log, it still would have been needing more detail on the log, like Spider House style, or, you know, something that's got like a bunch of fun log, you know, instead of just two squares. But then if you walk down the street, there's Grand Lake Estates is a big hodgepodge. It really is. I mean, there's like an octagonal house, there's that one that's covered in stone, that's a shed roof, that's got that gable thing that they were gonna do, that like half gable, that's exactly, you know, like it's a hodgepodge on those two streets that they're part of that subdivision.
Sorry, I wonder sometimes if it's the materials that we're permitting too, that
Yeah.
are making it more modern than maybe what the ones that we're just used to seeing too.
Yeah.
But
Well, I actually like our materials, but the colors, like I've had a lot of people complain about the black. And it's actually not black, but when,
grays, and
yeah.
that seems to be the new thing that everyone is doing,
Mhm.
waxing grays.
Yes. And you know, that is a very, monochromatic is very modern, it always has been. But sometimes I think it's just a little too dark. Like I thought, based on their, until I saw their samples up close, I thought they were black. But they
Mhm.
dark gray.
And that's where you could do it, then where you set a color palette, just like you could materials, that you can have so much of. This material or this color on a structure, and then the secondary material, secondary colors. You can't compromise any more than 30% or something like that.
And then there's a,
Visually,
right. And there's a big push for the pre-burned wood because it's been sold as fire resistant because it's already been burned, right? And so that's why people really want to use it. And it's charcoal, yeah. But it's like the Japanese art of burning whatever wood burning, and it preserves it and everything, and it's really good. Makes it water, it's really good. But the fact that some of it's just dark brown. Some of it is more black, and that's what gets us in trouble with our code, because if they burn it too much, then it turns black, but if they burn it just enough, it's dark brown like it's supposed to be. So you know, so since we don't allow black, it's like, what do we do
So
if they overburn it?
should we make a recommendation to the trustees to come up with a budget and find a, where do we take it?
I mean, Scott Crowd could probably our attorney could probably finagle some kind of ordinance. Correct.
Yeah.
To, make it still legally binding for us, I mean, not too ambitious, I guess. In a way, but
And I think it's a Band-Aid that you could have with that, but again, I think we're really serious about trying to hang on to that Western culture and character or whatever, we probably do need to look at eventually.
Yeah.
We're on the guidelines, so.
You just have to figure out what that is exactly. That's the problem, is like putting your finger on it, because that's how they kind of pigeonholed me, they're like, well, it's not. I'm like, but it is modern, it's mountain modern, that's exactly what that is, but what's historic about, what's
Historic about any.
right, but what else is it in harmony? What's in harmony with my neighborhood?
Right. Yeah.
Well, my neighborhood is a hodgepodge, so.
We're- we can talk about how everyone fits that character.
Right, yeah. So we better hurry.
Well, we kind of gave our stamp of approval, so maybe we should let that one slide, but start working on making it very specific. And that's something that really, like, before I was on the commission, when I was dealing with the town, I would get, well, the code doesn't say it, but this is Grand Lakes, so you have to do it anyway. Like, I know how to read and it isn't in the code, and this is very frustrating, you telling me I have to do it just because we're Grand Lake. And I kind of feel that the applicants get that feeling. They're like, well, it fit everything you have in your code, so I would like a way to make it more specific so that we can actually refer back to it.
Yeah.
And so that Kim doesn't have to say, well, it's my subjective opinion that it doesn't fit the character. I'd like to have something defensible.
Right.
Agreed.
I was tossing around an idea of what would make my life really hard, but like lead guidelines, you have to, there's a chart they give you, at least with sites, which is a landscape version of lead, for architectural, making your building green. You check boxes and you get points for each category, like your windows, you get like 10 points if you do all the things, and then you get 5 points for siding or whatever it is. But if you do something like that for here, where it's like, you have a gabled roof and you have logs, whatever, you get 100% or whatever, something like that, like you have a shed roof, that means you have like -10, so you need to make that up with 4 other things or whatever you come up with, like it has to be log and it has to be articulated and has to have this gabley thing on the other side or whatever. I don't know how we would do that, but that's the only thing I can come up with that would make it, but might look like the R2D2 house over there, That's like on the lake, that's like it looks like a greenhouse on one side and like an old barn on the other side. It's not in town, but it's on the lake, down from your house.
Which one?
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
down from your
You mean
house.
one with the silo in the?
Yeah.
Silo in the middle of it?
Yeah, that. Yeah, so I'm afraid that might happen because they'll be like, well, you wanted me to meet these guidelines. It's like somebody before we changed the rules on the accent material decided to do the 4th side of their place in stucco. And I was like, well, a third of my building is stucco, and it says 1/3 of my building can be. And you're like, that's not the intent of the code. The intent was 1/3 of, like, for snow, for instance, if you don't want snow up against your foundation, we put 1/3 metal siding can be on it as an accent material, but they abuse the code to get what they need. So it doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah, no, push.
Yeah, this intent thing.
Well, the lake's
Is-
gonna be tough, because we only control a third.
Well, the lake, yeah.
No, I'm not talking about the lake though.
The whole town.
No, but
Hey,
I mean,
yeah.
Eldridge Place down a couple from me,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of black and it's kind of.
Modern.
Looking and,
Hmm.
that's in town.
Yep. That was approved right before I came.
Recall,
Literally.
they had some architectural design guidelines or requirements, actually, up at the lodge.
Mhm.
And those were very specific, and that was very specific, and some of those elements could be reviewed to see if
Yeah, perhaps.
some of those could.
Like the
be-
Tanahutu Ridge or whatever. That whole development.
Hmm?
Like the Tanahutu Ridge subdivision, that whole development has
Yeah.
this huge packet of architectural guidelines.
Right.
That might be a good place to start.
Right.
At least give us an idea of how to be comprehensive and specific.
Mhm.
You have to be a little careful though, that you
Yeah.
don't make them all
They go
look the
too
same.
far.
So if you drive around Thatcher Gulch or one of those ritzy parts of the west end of Vail, after you've seen 10 of them, you go, well, they don't look the same.
Mhm.
When you start prescribing the fine details of where the gutters end and how many shutters and. They start,
Yeah, I know.
they're $8 million cookie cutter. Cookie cutter, yeah. Probably not 8 anymore, they're probably 15. But I think we're all in agreement. Question is, how do we?
Right.
move it?
Can you bring us a copy of that, Kim?
Yeah, I can bring you a copy. Yeah. Yeah, I'll email it. I think it's only in paper. I will try and scan it in and I've seen it, so.
That's what we're starting to look at.
It'll probably be next week, because this week's kind of full already, so sorry. Preferably 2 weeks after I turn in my 2 grants, that'd be great.
Question.
Speaking of grants, is there gonna be any paving down on your street down there?
Hopefully not.
They need to do something.
There's a little
Why?
thing down there by the water.
Lakeside,
Why?
Lakeside Road is a mess.
They can pulverize it and then.
Yeah, we're gonna pulverize
Yeah.
it temporarily, I think. to-
That's what I heard is
so we're gonna
pulverizing.
Pulverize all of
Hmm.
Mount Lake.
Seven
All the way
Mountain
from
Drive, see
Arena
that?
to Point
Then
Park,
they
and they
approved it.
pulverize 4 inches of repave. And they're gonna pulverize whatever is subpar on.
Lakeside Drive. That's my understanding, and then they might do ours. 20 years supposedly, as long as it's the last 5 to 10 or something.
Right, yes.
As a second degree.
It lasted for a while.
It's a, yeah.
One thing, had the tramway that came up last time, what's going on with that?
They're at the next meeting. Or no,
We were gonna
they're in July.
public hearing.
Public hearing in July. It hasn't been noticed yet because they still have to turn in some stuff. I'm waiting for them to turn in some stuff.
Okay,
And then they're waiting for some things to figure out.
just double check there's nothing going on.
Have we had anybody else apply for the empty chair?
No,
Apply for what?
no, there is a planning commissioner position open for anybody who lives in town, though, who resides 365 days or has resided for 365. I almost hit up Blake. But
I don't think she's been here long enough, but, you know, maybe you should email her.
yeah, well, she bought Heather McSlaro's house. So whenever Heather left, that's when she moved in. Yeah,
So the gal and her husband, her boyfriend is. Brad,
What gal?
the gal who's here for the permit, they live across from Hoppy and.
Oh.
that's what they-
she's talking about Blake, Blake.
Yeah, what's her? Yeah. what's her name?
Heather.
Brian.
It's Heather's.
Is it Bradley Bradley
The Hilton.
Hilton?
Okay.
They purchased a house. Across from Hoppy.
Yeah, Heather McSlaro's old house. Mm-hmm.
All right, motion to adjourn. Move.
Second,
Second,
Who was,
Let's say, everyone's.
it was him and you?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Motion for meetings adjourned.
What time?
7:25.
Great.
Has the town made any request of the sheriff's department to let them know that he was blocking in our streets?
it's